Permettez tout d'abord de souhaiter aux citoyens africains de joyeuses fêtes de fin d'année 2020. Tout d'abord de souhaiter une année horrible tous, qui sera à jamais gravée de fin d'année 2020 dans nos mémoires, une année horrible de la pandémie, qui sera à jamais gravée dans nos mémoires, les bouleversements, comme celle de la pandémie de la Covid-19. Alors que les bouleversements se terminent de tout ordre, avec la recrudescence de cette pandémie, alors que cette année se termine, qui s'annonce avec la recrudescence de cette pandémie, avec la mise en place des vaccins 2021 qui s'annonce, et surtout pour notre continent, de réels espoirs, le démarrage des échanges, avec la mise en place des vaccins le 1er janvier, et surtout pour notre continent, de la zone de libre-échange, le démarrage des échanges. Le 1er janvier, il y a lieu de reconnaître que le cadre instances de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, sous l'impulsion de la Commission de l'Union africaine, il y a lieu de reconnaître que du secrétariat de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, sous l'impulsion de la Commission de l'Union africaine, remarquable, et du secrétariat de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, et la ratification de l'accord de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, permettant dans la signature le plus court et la ratification de l'accord de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine dans le délai le plus court. Jamais 54 pays ont signé cet accord, notre organisation, et 34 au stade actuel. 54 pays et d'autres ont signé cet accord, qui sont dans le processus de ratification, l'ont ratifié. Ont déjà soumis ces pays et de concessions tarifaires, qui sont dans le processus de ratification finalisé, ont déjà soumis les règles d'origine de concessions tarifaires. Ces travaux finalisés, recommandés à notre règle d'origine couvrent 81%. Le 5 décembre 2020. Pourquoi? Que les échanges recommandés à nos...
All right, and so we come out of that. We'll try and come back to it a little bit later on when we get the right channel and the right sound for that very important briefing on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. It's time for a short break. We'll be back.
And quota-free, and with a market of some 1.2 billion people and a combined GDP of some 3 trillion United States dollars, the AfCFTA will boost inter-African trade, stimulate investment and innovation, diversify exports, improve food security, foster structural transformation, enhance economic growth, and above all, provide jobs for the youth, as well as fresh impetus for African entrepreneurs. I'm confident that the private sector, if actively supported by government, is capable and willing to be at the vanguard of this transformation. For us in Ghana, we have embraced fully this partnership between government and the private sector to ensure maximum benefit is derived from the AfCFTA. Indeed, a series of public sensitization forums across all 16 regions of the country have been organized to update the private sector on the implementation of AfCFTA protocols, the operational requirements for effective trading in the market, and preparations for the start of trading. Public education will be intensified further after the start of trading. I'm hopeful that the state parties which are yet to submit their market access offer, that is the tariff liberalization schedule, to the AU Secretariat, will do so by the end of January 2021. This will ensure full access to AfCFTA trading by all state parties. In addition, all outstanding issues related to the various AfCFTA operational instruments, which were launched at the 2019 AU Extraordinary Summit, should be finalized and made operational by the end of March 2021. These include the online platform for tariff negotiations, the Africa Trade Observatory, ATO, the digital payment and settlement systems, the online mechanism for reporting and monitoring of non-tariff barriers, the mobile application for AfCFTA business activities, the Mansa repository platform to serve as a centralized database for customer due diligence, and the $1 billion United States AfCFTA adjustment facility to manage the adverse effects of revenue losses for selected countries. These instruments address potential challenges to effective trading and are critical in easing business transactions and trading under the single continental market framework. As recommended by the AfCFTA's champion, the President of the Republic of Niger, His Excellency Mahamadou Issoufou, there is the expectation that by the end of March 2021, the AfCFTA unit operating out of the AU Commission in Addis Ababa will be moved to Accra to ensure the consolidation of all AfCFTA-related activities under the AfCFTA Secretariat. I commend highly our experts, ambassadors, and ministers of trade, the AfCFTA Secretariat, and the AU Commission for the quality of work accomplished thus far, which has enabled the implementation of the AfCFTA to proceed. We should not relent in our efforts in concluding all outstanding issues in the Phase 1 negotiations to guarantee full implementation of the AfCFTA protocols by June 2021. In particular, I want to thank the AfCFTA champion, President Mahamadou Issoufou of the Republic of Niger, President Alpha Condé of the Republic of Guinea, President Paul Kagame of the Republic of Rwanda, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of the Arab Republic of Egypt, and the current AU chair, President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa of the Republic of South Africa, for championing strongly the process of implementation on all our behalves. To the AU Commission, I appeal to them to fast-track the ongoing recruitment of staff for the AfCFTA Secretariat to enable the Secretariat to discharge its responsibilities efficiently and smoothly. I also want to reiterate the call made by the Assembly at its 13th extraordinary session on the AfCFTA to member states that have still not signed and ratified the agreement to do so as soon as possible in order to increase the size of the market and the volume of trade under the AfCFTA, as well as fast-track the continental integration process to ensure that no one is left behind and we achieve the Africa we want. There is a new Africa emerging with a sense of urgency and purpose and an aspiration to become self-reliant and move the continent to a situation of self-sufficiency, progress, and prosperity. In this regard, I assure this gathering of Ghana's unwavering commitment and dedication to the agenda of continental integration. We must succeed together and do so resoundingly for the benefit of current and future generations. I wish you a very prosperous and productive new year. A new dawn of trading and investment across Africa for Africans has just begun. May God bless Mother Africa and us all. And thank you for your attention.
Your Excellencies, I wish to congratulate AU member states and the state parties to the African Continental Free Trade Area on the historic commencement of trading. The vision of the founders of the OAU has come into fruition. The dreams of an economically integrated Africa have finally been realized. I'd like to congratulate, in particular, the more than 30 member states that have made tariff offers to date, and I would like to use this opportunity to appeal to the rest of the membership that have not yet done so, to make their tariff offers as soon as possible so that effective trading can commence with all of us participating. The start of trade of the African Continental Free Trade Area could not have come at a more opportune time for our continent, as we are recovering from the devastating impact of the pandemic and decades of triple challenges of extreme poverty, unemployment, and inequality, which has hampered our resolve to shackle off the stubborn legacy of colonialism. I have no doubt that the start of trade of the AfCFTA will begin an overdue process of industrialization, increasing inter-Africa trade, and the speeding up of economic integration towards sustainable development of our continent. The start of trade in our continent represents a huge milestone for the people of this continent, and I appeal to all member states to spare no effort in creating conducive environments for our youth and women to benefit in the opportunities presented by the AfCFTA. Indeed, the focus of our trade agreement should be directed to a larger extent on the development and sustaining small and medium enterprises, and not only on well-established big companies. During our extraordinary summit a few weeks ago, I made an appeal to my counterparts for a protocol on women in trade as part of the many protocols that must be concluded as part of our free trade agreement. If we are to make the financial inclusion of women a reality, we must start to turn our commitments into action for the benefit of the women of our beloved continent. As we usher in a new era of trade and economic development on our continent, we should not lose sight of our common priority of silencing the guns. There can be no development without peace in Africa. Therefore, we should speed our efforts towards the implementation of the AU Master Plan for silencing the guns. As I conclude, I'd like to thank the Republic of Ghana for agreeing to provide a home for the Secretariat of our trade agreement. We should also thank our Secretary General, Mr. Wamkele Mene, for his excellent leadership. As we usher in the new year, let us do so knowing that we can and we shall overcome this COVID-19 epidemic. And we shall make intra-Africa trade a reality and a great success. I thank you and wish you the very best in trading.
Powerful statements from their excellencies there that really underscore the significance of today. Now, a major key to unlocking Africa's latent economic power will be its small and medium-sized enterprises, its SMEs. The AfCFTA Secretariat, together with Afro champions, have been collaborating to provide SMEs with digital strategies to access finance, business housekeeping, and much more. And as you watch this video, please pay close attention to the role of the new AfCFTA Super App.
From Cairo to Cape Town, Dakar to Djibouti, the energy of the world's youngest and most dynamic continent pulses through 1 billion dreams and visions of fabulous fashion, world-changing technology, extraordinary business ideas and models. But AfCFTA, the African Continent Free Trade Agreement, has come to multiply all this many times over.
An increase in trade is the surest way to develop fruitful relations between African countries.
AfCFTA shall hewn out of the fragmented identities and sovereignties of Africa a single integrated market, the largest and deepest in the world by sheer number of participating countries and breadth of diversity. According to the World Bank, AfCFTA will increase Africa's income by a whopping $450 billion in just over a decade, but visions must be forged through sheer determination. This is why the AfCFTA Secretariat, an autonomous institution within the African Union, has reached out to Africa's energetic private sector, civil society movements, political leaders and thinkers with one call: align your individual visions with the grand AfCFTA vision. Together, we can take Africa to the pinnacle of Agenda 2063, a united, prosperous continent, proud on the world stage. And some have heeded immediately. Afro Champions, a multi-stakeholder organization committed to transforming the champions of African integration into global giants, and a strategic partner of the African Union, has today joined forces with the AfCFTA Secretariat to take the Avriva program developed with the AU Commission to keep AfCFTA on track onto a whole new pedestal, the AfCFTA Vision Initiative. Through the initiative, Africa's innovators and entrepreneurs now have the opportunity to access critical funding from the continent's largest development finance institutions, something long beyond their reach. Enlisting Africa's glamorous and most creative celebrities as ambassadors for AfCFTA, galvanizing the continent's political leaders to pose ground challenges for the continent's thinkers and doers, and mobilizing the startup community to respond with visionary solutions to these challenges is just a start.
The African Continental Free Trade Area that we are launching today is one of the most emblematic projects on the African agenda. The founding fathers will certainly be proud of this.
The truly groundbreaking moves are in the works, but at their core is a simple, revolutionary idea: the AfCFTA number, a single Pan-African trusted business identity for every SME, startup, NGO, social enterprise, or indeed freelancer. Powering each AfCFTA number is a super app, a digital hyper network built to crisscross the continent, enabling a unified credit referencing system. Know your customer regime for financial institutions, and a red tape busting machine for digitizing export and import transactions under AfCFTA. Intra-African trade cannot revert to what it was before, bogged down by paperwork, inefficiencies, weak market intelligence, low awareness of trade agreements among private sector economic actors, and infrastructure bottlenecks. There is a new mystic flowing through the air, carried aloft on the wings of dynamic technology and new partnerships. No one shall be left behind. No vision is too small or too big to fit. We are a continent pushing forward in one direction. The wind on our back, from hill to hill, the drums beat one message over and over and over again. What is your AfCFTA number?
Next, it gives me great pleasure to welcome solidarity statements from key partners who've been instrumental in helping our continent reach this monumental milestone, the commencement of trading under the AfCFTA. We have statements from Professor Benedict Oramah, President of Afreximbank, Dr. Vera Songwe, Executive Secretary of the UN Economic Commission for Africa, and Dr. Edem Adzogenu, Chairperson of the Afro Champions Initiative. But first, the United Nations has pledged its full support to the African Union in its efforts to realize the African Continental Free Trade Area. In the first of our 4 solidarity statements, we're pleased to welcome the Deputy Secretary General of the UN, Amina Mohammed.
Dear friends, it is a pleasure to greet this forum. The African Continental Free Trade Area presents enormous opportunities to get back on track towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals at a critical moment for the region. From improving food security and conditions for traders to creating jobs and opportunities, especially for women, the Free Trade Area opens enormous possibilities for a more resilient and prosperous African region. Intra-Africa exports make up only about 15% of the continent's trade. The Africa Free Trade Area can help by reducing tariff and non-tariff barriers, which increase trade costs significantly. The non-tariff barrier mechanism, to which the United Nations contributed, is a key feature established to enhance transparency and the identification of non-tariff barriers. African countries have persevered to ensure trading commences as planned on the 1st of January 2020. Negotiators and leaders have overcome the considerable organizational disruptions imposed by COVID-19 to achieve this. The AfCFTA has transformational potential for Africa. It is expected to boost intra-Africa trade in industrial goods by 25 to 30%, equivalent to $36 billion to $43 billion, helping to stimulate Africa's long overdue industrialization and catalyze its sustainable recovery from COVID-19. The United Nations family will continue working closely with the African Union Commission and member states to support the private sector as we strive to reap the full potential of this pioneering initiative. Together, we must use this opportunity to realize the ambition of creating one African market. I wish you every success. Thank you.
Your Excellencies are trusted leaders, my fellow Africans, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I would like to begin by thanking Secretary General, His Excellency Wankele Mene, for the opportunity to speak on this auspicious occasion. Today, Africa crosses the Rubicon, a point of no return, as we march forward with confidence and determination toward the realization of our shared vision. We build on decades of political independence to finally begin to remove the shackles of economic deprivation perpetrated by the 84,000 kilometers of borders that divide us. It was always known that political independence was only the beginning and not the end of our journey to economic emancipation. In his usual visionary candor, the late Dr. Kwame Nkrumah reminded his colleagues in 1963 that, and I quote, independence is only a prelude to a new and more involved struggle for the right to conduct our own economic and social affairs, unquote. As trading commences under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, even as the COVID-19 rages, Africa enters the final phase of that struggle, a phase many doubting pharmacists thought was many more years in coming. Afreximbank welcomes with enthusiasm the tremendous opportunities this event offers to Africa and the world. Today, we transition from vision to reality and from imagination to possibilities. African businesses have now been unleashed to explore and exploit the boundless opportunities all across the continent. Perhaps from today, Nigerians will start buying processed rubber from Côte d'Ivoire rather than elsewhere. Congolese will start buying essential pharmaceuticals from Egypt and South Africa instead of faraway lands. And we will begin to pay for intra-regional trade in goods and services in our national currencies. Our abundant raw materials will be used to create high-quality jobs on our continent rather than serve as vehicles for exporting jobs from our continent. Afreximbank is fully committed to the ideals and goals of the AfCFTA. We support the engine room, the Secretariat, under the able and dynamic leadership of His Excellency, Mr. Wankele Mene. We are committed to using digital technology to knock down the borders and unleash the power of intra-regional trade. We will open new world where African businesses will conduct trading seamlessly. Accompanying the commencement of trading under the AfCFTA is the African Trade Gateway, a set of digital platforms bundled into a super platform the bank has developed to support the implementation of the AfCFTA. The African Trade Gateway will enable African entities to identify new market and investment opportunities, build reliable supply chains and business relationships, access country-specific trade and investment regulations in a harmonized and integrated manner, make or receive payments for intra-African trade in national currencies, conduct due diligence on potential business partners seamlessly, and apply for trade or project finance credit at a click of a button. The Customer Due Diligence Repository platform has become operational. The Pan-African Payments and Settlement System will commence piloting among 6 African countries in a few days, and the Trade Regulations Platform is undergoing testing. In support of the AfCFTA, Afreximbank plans to make available $40 billion in intra-African trade and investment financing during the next 5 years, twice the amount it disbursed for the same purpose in the last 4 years. Afreximbank will intensify the ongoing work to ensure that every African country has at least one bank with a credit limit to support intra-African trade. With about 400 banks already onboarded to this program, the bank expects to achieve its target of 500 banks with a combined limit of $8 billion in the next 18 months. And working with the African Union and the AfCFTA Secretariat, the bank will ensure that the statutes and resource mobilization plan for a $5 billion AfCFTA adjustment facility are put in place in a timely manner as mandated by the African Union Assembly. We look forward to working with like-minded institutions, individuals, and governments in charting the new path to the promised land. We congratulate our heads of state, the leadership of the African Union, the AfCFTA Secretariat, and indeed all Africans and interested citizens of the world for the unprecedented event we are marking today. As I close, may I remind us all that during the political struggle, the clarion call was freedom. Today, may I invite us to embrace the urgency of tearing down the borders and adopt no borders as our new slogan. I thank you all for your kind attention.
The creation of the AfCFTA will be driven by an increase of more than 60% in the continent's domestic trade, amounting to about $42 billion in volume if we get all of our countries together under this one banner. But it is also important to emphasize that the CFTA is not a treaty that takes Africa back into itself. It is a treaty that ensures that Africa creates more value within Africa and then takes that value out, creating better opportunities, growing more markets outside the continent, ensuring that Africa can diversify its economies faster. It is in this spirit that the Economic Commission for Africa, working with national and regional entities, has emphasized the need for developing national competitiveness strategies to understand what are the trade opportunities, the current constraints, measures that need to be put in place to take full advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. ECA and its partners are supporting about 38 countries to develop the AfCFTA implementation strategies across regional economic communities such as ECOWAS, EAC, and ECAS. 11 countries have already validated their strategies, and we hope to have a lot more with us as we continue to prepare and launch the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. We're going to have to monitor the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement to ensure that the momentum and the excitement and the ambition of the AfCFTA that we have today and that we will have on the 1st of January remain. It is again in the spirit that the Economic Commission for Africa is developing the AfCFTA Country Business Index, which will be a tool to ensure that we continue to keep our borders open, that we continue to ensure that cross-border trade grows, that the challenges that we have, particularly on cross-border trade on the continent, are lifted, that we look at issues of intellectual property rights, issues of competition policy as we move to the next stage, that we look at issues of harmonizing our e-commerce agenda to ensure that we work with key and strategic partners, the African Union, the AfCFTA Secretariat in Ghana, the Afri-Exim Bank, the African Development Bank, key African institutions to ensure that the implementation of both the AfCFTA but financing of the infrastructure of the trade that is needed to ensure that Africa can grow faster, better, and create more value continues. We're going to have to work with our policymakers, with our leaders to ensure that a business environment conducive for intra-African business, first of all, remains, grows, and improves so that across Africa, businesses can prosper, that we can create business giants. And ultimately, we hope that the Economic Commission for Africa, the African Union, and all the other African agencies can come together behind the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement to ensure that the signature project, 50 years in the coming, can finally deliver the prosperity, the Africa we want for this generation and those that come after, and particularly help accelerate Africa's building forward better and together as we exit the COVID-19 crisis.
Your Excellencies, Heads of States, Excellencies Chairperson Musa Faki and Secretary General Wamkele Mene, Commissioners and officials of the African Union Commission, distinguished African compatriots and patriots. 1st January 2021 will forever be immortalized in the annals of Africa's glorious history. A day we will forever owe to your unwavering tenacity and resolve to redeem the dreams of our founding fathers to create Africa's single market. We are proud and eternally grateful. We have learned and relished the history of Africa's ancient and prosperous epoch, when caravans carrying Africa's wealth traded within the continent and the world. Today we are witnesses to the restoration of caravans that will amass the indigenous resources, skills, and technologies needed to accelerate, industrialize, scale, and engender prosperity for millions of Africans. New caravans anchored on the Sahara of the vast and untapped potential of our creativity, cultural diversity, along with the endless synergies forged from the expertise and passions of African youth. Who would have thought that a continent at the crossroads of a world divided by forces of anti-globalization and the rise of protectionism is the continent striding towards integration? Who would have predicted that during the same period in which our world is periled by climate change, a global pandemic, and its prevailing economic havocs, African governments persevered to set the AfCFTA in motion? We at Afro Champions, on behalf of our multiple stakeholders, the African private sector, the multitude of African SMEs and CSOs, accept the responsibility to take ownership of the AfCFTA and are committed to work together to ensure that this agreement does not remain a trade treaty, but rather the greatest investment opportunity of the 21st century. We recognize that for intra-Africa trade to succeed, this treaty would have to be converted into infrastructural, industrial, and commercial investments to open up Africa's transport and logistic routes, for cheap energy to industrialize the continent, and for green commercial hubs that add value to talent, value to agriculture, and value to natural resources. We are grateful for the partnerships forged with the African Union, the AfCFTA Secretariat, and others on our AfCFTA focus initiatives, namely the $1 Trillion Investment Framework and its archetypal Orango Investment Fund, AVRIVA, which combines entrepreneurial and STEM capacities of Africans to innovate homegrown tech solutions that will accelerate the implementation of the AfCFTA, and Nefertiti, which aims to unravel and liberate the immense potentials endowed in the African creative sectors. The Afro Champions Initiative shall continue to create the ecosystems and networks to catalyze the blending of these powerful but separate private undertakings into the core political and geopolitical shifts currently underway on the continent. We believe that with AfCFTA, we can turn the oldest continent into the planet's freshest source of growth and dynamism, as indeed it should, given that we have the world's youngest population. We believe that we are this millennium's luckiest generation, blessed with this rare opportunity to witness the glorious, democratic, and peaceful rise of a new geopolitical giant, a proud and prosperous Africa, brimming over with magnanimity and calling out to all the world to come and fulfill their positive dreams and aspirations in its rich and abundant bosom. Thank you very much indeed.
The rich fabric of Africa's highly diverse cultures, societies, and creative impulses is the best canvas on which to draw the spectacular opportunity that is the AfCFTA. In this next video, some of Africa's most daring fashion visionaries come together to explore what it means to create a Pan-African brand identity, value chain, and creative strategy in the wake of the historic AfCFTA. Their inevitable conclusion? Beyond the container trucks and cargo lines that will drive the material progress of AfCFTA lies a far more fundamental essence: creative fusion. The AfCFTA is more than just a single market for goods. It's a common search for the soul and spirit of African oneness and togetherness.
So I got a call. The voice on the other end of the line said 1st January 2021. Mark that date in your diary. Africa becomes one market. AfCFTA goes live. For real. A single market from Cape to Cairo and from Dakar to Djibouti.
We received a call from the Continental Free Trade Agreement that we ought to participate. So after that, we decided to get the best of all the designers that you have. We selected the best.
I said I dress people and make them feel closer to who they want to be. That's why I'm calling, said the voice on the line. We want you to dress AfCFTA with a ceremonial robe infused with the colors and designs of all of Africa.
Fashion design is about passion, drawing deep into the soul to bring out colors and patterns, to tell more than just a story of one wearing the design.
To capture Africa's incredible extravaganza, you need to reach into her resources, reach out to your own kindred spirits, other fashion entrepreneurs, and creative forces across the continent. Search the marketplace for hidden gems and colorful marks.
To build things Africans would gladly call their own, passion is of essence.
To capture Africans' incredible fashion sense, one has to reach out to their own inner spirit and creativity.
Delightful things that will sweep across our colonial borders and settle warmly into every home on the continent. We must be adventurous, we must be religious, even sacrilegious, about hunting, about searching, about blending, about mixing and matching. Ponder, for instance, the works of the laureates of the African Union, Afro Champions Nefertiti program. Look into the haunting depths of a Vincent Kolo painting, a Bertha Munthali art piece, or a Sinenkosi Insomi mural. Or listen to a Peter Wambua poem as your fresh cotton marches to Entebbe to fly into the textile mills in Kisumu ahead of the journey to Dakar, where swanky boutiques display the ribbons and textures of contemporary swag. Touch the leopard cap from KwaZulu, slither on a Maasai toga, ride a Berber turbine, and rock a Fulani skirt. Your talisman is a liputa from Kinshasa, and Kente is how you dance.
And through this, we'll want to reach into our most vivid creative expression of what African can offer itself and the world, a unique style that offers remarkable soul and spirit of a whole continent as one.
In the end, learn that it's not about the robe itself, it is about after, as an idea, an ideal, a height we want to reach in our most vivid creative expression of what Africa can offer itself and the world. A unique style, a matchless product line, all the more remarkable because it embodies the soul and spirit of the whole continent. Our unique collaboration to develop a continental fashion presence. How is that for a ceremonial robe? This, friends, is AfCFTA made family.
We're hoping to partner with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement so that it can help us as designers and people who love fashion to create movement in terms of exporting stuff and importing stuff so that we bridge the gap for high taxation so that it can be at least reduced and see how best we can collaborate. We're excited and we're looking forward to working with the AfCFTA to make sure that we as African we work together, appreciate our craft and collaborate more and work also with international presentation.
That's truly wonderful. An African tapestry. I'm told there's more than 3,000 people joining us this New Year's Day to welcome in the AfCFTA and many more on YouTube and Facebook. My brothers and sisters, this is a great day. Now we've reached the moment when we welcome the official proclamation to declare the AfCFTA commencement of trading. And of course, the honor of making that proclamation goes to none other than His Excellency Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of the AfCFTA.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark. We have been inspired by 1.2 billion Africans, some of them represented in the videos that we have just seen. We have received our marching orders from our heads of states, and we have received words of support from our strategic partners, from UNECA, from Afreximbank, from Afro Champions, from UNDP. We are today truly inspired and confident that going forward, as we trade under new rules, preferences that we negotiated over many, many years, that truly we shall confound the critics. You know as well as I do that all the time the question is asked to us, can the Africans do it? Is it possible for Africa to do it? Where are the tariff schedules? Where is this? Where is that? And today, we have confounded critics, because today, as Africa, on the 1st of January 2021, a day that will go down in the annals of Africa's integration as a great day, we have demonstrated to the world that we can do it. And we have demonstrated to the world that Africa is committed to market integration. I recently observed to a journalist that we really don't have anything to prove to the rest of the world. What we have to prove is to 1.2 billion Africans, that as Africans and as those of us who are privileged enough to be in leadership positions, that we owe it to them to make sure that the AfCFTA becomes a reality. You heard President Orama, you heard Dr. Songwe, you heard Afro Champions, my brother Edem, all of them very committed to this agreement, making contributions, making offers of support. And the most important thing that I think we will be able to do is to make sure that this agreement resonates with small, medium enterprises, with women in trade, as President Ramaphosa said, and with young Africans. If we don't bring on board in the implementation of this agreement these very important segments of our society, this agreement shall not succeed. And so we are committed as a Secretariat, with the support of our strategic partners that I've just mentioned, we are committed to make sure that this agreement becomes a reality, a living instrument that Africans of all walks of life can indeed say that I am part of the AfCFTA. The inclusivity in the implementation is very, very important. And so it is my pleasure and my honor to declare the final proclamation that indeed today Africa is trading under the AfCFTA. I thank you very much, and I thank all the people who watched live this event. I thank our heads of states who made the statements, and more importantly, 1.2 billion Africans. We shall not disappoint you. This is Africa's time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And I think I speak up for all of us to say that this is a concerted, joint, collaborative effort from all sectors, and we are all here together to support the AfCFTA Secretariat and you yourself, the Secretary General. It's going to be a busy 2021, but an exciting one. Now, we've come to the end of this historic ceremony. If you're watching live, there's a lot more happening this month as trading commences under the AfCFTA. Actual shipments will be flagged off by some member states throughout the month of January as part of the build-up to the African Union's February 2021 summit. For example, Ghana's Minister of Trade will flag off shipments from the airport and from the seaport on Monday, 4th of January. Also, private and public sector initiatives will do corridor voyages to signify a cross-border movement under the AfCFTA. And there'll be many more activities to look out for over the coming months. Now, we end with two final films. The first film illustrates the power of trade as a tool for change. And it really asks us the question to think about how we as Africans seize this historic moment and keep it from slipping away. The second film is about rediscovery, and it celebrates our coming together to realize the Pan-African dream of our ancestors. Please enjoy these films.
There is a journey we all must make into our past in order to come to terms with our future. And for 500 years and more, we have journeyed into various spaces of the earth. And everywhere we go, we must confront dimensions of ourselves we did not know were there. There is something of our story, something of our mystery carved into every tombstone in all the graveyards of the world. Something of our history enshrined in every monument and in every anthem ever erected in honor of the spirit of endurance.
This is a dirge for the decaying dreams of thousands of young Africans, whose remains lie scorched in the hot desert suns. These are the dream chasers escaping the hopelessness of their reality, through the thirsty Sahara and across the turbulent Mediterranean into the mirage of greener pastures. Of the many who start, few make it, most don't, many die.
And so we come out of that historic proclamation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, officially launching today, covering 1.2 billion people and a GDP of over $2.5 trillion, the world's largest trading bloc. It comes at a time, obviously, when Britain is leaving the EU. And we go to a break and we say goodbye to our SABC 3 viewers. On SABC News, when we